In the early days of the internet, it took some vision to understand how some computers connecting together over phone lines could lead to a tech revolution that would change the world. Well, we're in the beginning of another one of those changes. This idea of blockchain and digital ownership is going to unlock new capabilities not yet seen. A project that is working to unlock the ability for anyone around the world to tune in virtually to performances by top artists using their own industry connections that they have to line up the stars, as well as tech development that will partner with some of the biggest metaverses out there that will take what some games like Fortnite and Minecraft have done with virtual concerts to a whole new level. And that's going to be our discussion today. Welcome to the Crypto Rain channel. I'm your host, Jay Rain. And if you like money and crypto and you're looking for a seasoned investor's take on the crypto market, join the Rainmaker family, as well as we often have some of the best interviews with some of the top people in the industry. Do note I'm not a financial advisor. I'm a crypto investor myself. We do want to thank our Patreon members. We have a private Discord that our Patreon members get access to. Now, make it rain on that like button and strap in for the show. Let's first welcome my co-host today, Doctor of Stuff, who's also going to have some questions for our guest.
Hey, Crypto Rain, how are you today?
Fantastic. I've been looking forward to this interview for weeks. How about you?
I am so pumped to talk to Colin and hear more about what's going on and what they've been building during this bear market. I've been following them since inception, really, and I like you. I've been pumped for this interview. I'm stoked to get to chat with him.
Awesome. Well, let's welcome our guest, Colin Fitzpatric, founder of Animal Concerts. Thank you, Colin, for joining us.
Thank you. Great to speak to you again, Rain, and great to talk to you, Dr. Stuff.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure, Colin.
Yeah, it's been awesome. Thank you. I think this is the third time joining the channel. We appreciate you making time for us. One of the things when I started my channel was I wanted to get access to the team members because I'm a crypto investor, and a lot of my investing comes from finding teams that I believe in, right? That I feel like what they're doing makes sense to me, but also has the right team and the right connections to make things happen. So, yeah, obviously I've been a fan of your team since we first spoke, and even before that when I was researching it. But for those that haven't seen those previous interviews and everything, could you tell the audience a little bit about what Animal Concerts is?
Sure, absolutely. So we're building the next generation of live immersive events in the metaverse. We're working with people like Snoop Dogg, Billy Ray Cyrus, Alicia Keys, and Robin Thicke. Many more coming this year. And we're providing the gateway for, A-list artists and celebrities to enter this wonderful world of Web3, metaverse, and NFTs. Because, I mean, I've been through this for 2 years now, meeting many different, artists and also record companies. They're all getting bombarded with everything Web3 and metaverse NFTs, but they don't really understand it, and they need someone like us to sort of guide them through this journey and show them how to do it. And we've had great success bringing these great people on. I mean, you talked about team there. One of the greatest things about my business is the team that myself and my co-founders assembled. I've got people with decades of experience in the music and entertainment space in Hollywood. One of my co-founders has made literally hundreds of music videos going back to Biggie and Tupac and up to Britney and J-Lo. I mean, the reach we have in the market is incredible, and the demand we see in the market is amazing because people want to be part of this. They can see that is the next thing. And as we talked about last time, Rain, the music industry has been through some very, very sizable shakeups with Napster and YouTube and Spotify really shaking up its market. Now they don't want to be trampled on again. And what I'm sure you guys understand is how decentralization, the blockchain, and specifically NFTs give a chance for artists to really gain more control over their own IP and a greater level of interaction and closer level of interaction with their actual fans. And I think that's one of the most exciting things. And that's what we've had people, big names, come on to us and want to do this stuff, but they didn't particularly seem really interested in the tech and what it can do. They saw it as, oh, I want to do an NFT drop for a cash drop. No, thank you. We're working with Robin Thicke right now, and we're doing some really, really cool stuff that I can't talk about now, but hopefully in a few weeks I'll be able to announce it. Doing a metaverse concert at a big event, and he's super interested in everything that's going on. Super open to what we can potentially put together, with the brands that we're working with this sort of, how do I say, the gamification, the monetization, and really bringing the audience more central into what's going on. And I think that's the fantastic thing about the metaverse.
Yeah. Would you go a little bit deeper into your background in the music industry? Because one of the things I loved about the team, and you touched on this, was the background to make it happen. Because a lot of times these artists need somebody they already know and to trust that understands their side to explain it to them, because they don't really get the new technology. Some kind of saw, oh, somebody made some money on NFTs, so they're kind of like, oh, I could do that too, but they don't understand where this is going at all. And it takes somebody who knows them, that knows their side of it, to explain it to them in words that they can understand, to really bring them on board, right?
100%. I mean, what I always say is that most of my job is education. We spend an awful lot of time educating these people about what it is. We kind of have a rule where we don't talk to management teams. I need to talk to the artist directly, because then we know what we're dealing with and how much interest they have. My background, well, I've been in tech for 20 years. I've worked for a lot of big tech companies, Dell, Oracle, Salesforce, and others. I do have somewhat of a music background. I was a DJ for many, many years, still am, amateur. I used to run a couple of club nights, used to do a few festivals, was never a professional, but I have a deep, deep love for electronic music and always have. I'm literally about to play my first gig in about 10 years right here where I am, which I'm excited and extremely nervous about. But my co-founders could do things like manage bands and put on events and things like that. And then we sort of developed this bigger team of high experts that have really, really deep connections into Hollywood and entertainment. And yeah, I mean, ultimately what we found, our first signing was Alicia Keys, and she was super cool about it, still is. I mean, we're deep in the process of the NFT drops right now, and she wanted a woman of color to be the person who designs the NFTs. She's literally in there, trying to have creative control over it herself, and even down to the fact that when she signed the contract with me, it was her signature, not a management team. And we love that level of interaction. It's fantastic. I mean, obviously, we're working with Snoop, who is the biggest name. I talk to his son extremely regularly, and they have an incredible understanding of the way it works, and really want to push the boundaries for what we're doing. Because, as we all know, the days of just a simple PFP are kind of gone, and now it's really about It's about access, it's about membership, it's about what that gives you, and being part of a community, and that's what the next layer of NFTs. I'm actually kicking off my own podcast, Rain, in the next little while. And I got some pretty, I suppose I'm quite active on LinkedIn, and I've got some pretty cool connections. And, and one of the things I really want to talk about is where are NFTs going, specifically in the music industry. I've got some cool people who have businesses sort of similar kind of to what we do, but very, very much focusing on the utility of NFTs, fractional ownership, but also, I don't know, people. I had Scott Page from Pink Floyd on talking about how NFTs are digital freedom and they're about storytelling. And, I just love the different aspect of understanding and the way people tell their stories about what NFTs mean to them. I've met bands who have abandoned their record companies and gone, right, we're going to be an NFT band, and we're going to get our community to really promote us. And I'm working with another project, which is essentially a digital, how do I say, a digital character who is a musician, and then using the power of a DAO to really promote that. So I'm very passionate about what the technology brings to the space, about the problems it solves, and I think that is that's what we're all here to do. And I think a lot of people do not understand NFTs, and they see them as why would anyone spend thousands or tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars on monkey JPEGs, but they don't really understand the underlying technology and where it's going and what it's doing. But I think in the next, couple of years that will become significantly more evident. Personally, I think the word NFT is just going to fade out of the nomenclature, because at the end of the day, it's just a way of putting, value on an asset that is digital. And when I think kids these days have a very acute understanding for digital assets, I think people of our age and older don't, but that's going to change, in my opinion.
Yep, absolutely. Now, I was talking with a colleague a few weeks back, and he asked me I was telling him about your project, and he's asked me what I thought virtual concerts might look like and what kind of interactivity them might have in the future. I was like, that's a really good question. I was like, I'm having Colin join us in the next couple of weeks. I'm going to ask that to him, because he probably has a better visualization of what direction he wants this to go.
So basically, I'm in the process of doing a kind of update to my community and investors. It'll happen before the end of this month, and we've built a ton of tech. I don't really want to give too much away now, because I need to give it away, when we actually do this update. But we've built a ton of tech in terms of, number one, an app, and number two, our metaverse tech. So I'm getting a video made right now with our metaverse environments and showing what that will look like. We've got motion capture technology. We've got a ton of stuff, and we've got the ability for the artists themselves to sort of be live and engaged in the process of the concert. Not only them dancing around, but setting off fireworks and lighting and cool stuff like that. Then there is the activity of what the actual user can do. So they can come in, they can do different dance moves, they can go and they can talk to people. But, one of the biggest things I believe that, and I think about this a lot, and I talk about it a lot, and I write about it a bit as well, is what is going to really push the advancement of the metaverse to become more mainstream.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a couple of aspects to it. One is the technology, which we all know. And let's say, for example, when Apple come out with their AR headset and MR headset, that will advance it. But really, the biggest thing that I see is brands. When brands rush in and want to be part of this, and they really invest in this, and they're providing value and they're bringing other people in, that's one of the major things as well. And what I try to tell people that don't quite understand this is that what the metaverse does is it gives brands the ability to have this level of interaction with the end user that they've never seen before. So instead of just having, I don't know, some logos up at a concert or a video or something like that, we can actually really involve the end user in this brand. So I don't know, maybe stupid example we can have, right? We have Nike, and Nike want to give away 10 pair of glowing and flying, Air Jordans or whatever, and people will complete tasks and enter competitions and running around. And that level of interaction is an absolute dream for marketers. And I don't know whether you've seen it, but there's this list of all the major brands that have entered the metaverse now. It's the who's who of all the ones. I mean, you got Decentraland Fashion Week happening in a couple of months. That's version 2. Gucci, Prada, Louis Vuitton, Chanel. I mean, they're all in there, and they're all using this as a wonderful way to expose themselves to sort of new customers and new people, but B, just get a greater level of interaction with the people they already have and get to know that customer and get deep and intimate with them. And I think that's super cool as well. So, I mean, to kind of answer your question, we have the ability to put on a concert, tomorrow in a number of different ways. But I've always said I do not want to be out there trying to win the metaverse race. There's like hundreds of people building metaverses right now. Who knows who's going to win? Do I think I can win? I'm not sure. But I'm there to work with the guys who are winning, and they all want to work with me because, I can bring talent, I can bring brands, and what does that all bring? It brings users, and that's the one thing that every metaverse needs.
Fully agree. Dr. Stuff had some questions in line with this. Do you want to ask some of your questions, Dr. Stuff?
Yeah, Colin. So one of the things that most excited me, like you kind of touched on, is how musicians are going to be able to connect with their fan base on such a more like intimate level, even though they may not be able to actually participate in the concert live, right? They might not be able to be there in person, but I'm just like, wow, that far-reaching effect of people all over the world can attend this concert. But one of the questions that arose from that is, let's say a musician, Robin Thicke, he's going to hold a metaverse concert how many people can actually attend that concert? Do you guys have a limit, or is it limitless? And I was just thinking, at some point, right, there has to be, if people are able to interact with other people through their avatars, the load on those servers is going to be too much. There has to be some sort of limit. Is the technology there, or how's that going to play out for you guys?
No, it's a very, very good question. And this is one of the first questions I ask to every metaverse that I talk to about their limits. And the short answer is that there are absolute limits. And I always talk about, a Decentraland and Sandbox are like kind of, what I would call Metaverse 1.0. And there's an awful lot of really cool people building Metaverse 2.0 right now that, extend these limits quite significantly. However, it's really not that big a deal because you can get a metaverse, and whether their limit is 100 or 1,000 or whatever it is, they can have multiple different layers of this, and they can scale it very, very significantly. Now, what that means is that you can put up to 1,000 people into one of these layers and have multiples of them to have 10, 20, 50, 100,000, whatever. It just means that, if your 25 friends who are attending this, well, they all need to be in the same one. If you're going to be interacting, if they're in different layers, it doesn't matter. We could definitely have kind of, 10,000 or so at the moment, and we're working to scale that significantly. But it doesn't necessarily have to be millions of people in a concert to make it successful. My goal at the moment is to have a sort of more small, intimate, and how do I say, exclusive activity. But what we
Mhm.
are doing, and what we're doing with Robin, is creating like a kind of NFT gated access to a VIP lounge at the back. And what you
Okay.
talked about there, having, whether the person's gonna, like, a lot of these things are not live, like you've seen with Travis Scott and Ariana Grande. They are pre-recorded and things like that. But for me, even if it's pre-recorded, the person that the talent has to be there live, and he has to be interacting, and he has to, so I don't want to just record it and he's off doing something else and I'm having the concert. That's not, you need an element of realness and connection, and that can't happen if the whole thing is just pre-recorded, because that's just a music video, with a little bit of interaction. I want my people there, and whether it's, we want to, some of our NFTs are like an opportunity to have uh a virtual meet and greet in the metaverse with, call it, Robin Thicke. I need him there to be able to do that, because his biggest fans are going to go absolutely crazy for the ability to get or win an NFT, to get a 5-minute chat with him backstage. Or maybe it's only 1 minute and he does multiples, or maybe he assembles 20 people in a room and they all get to chat. And some of the really interesting things that we've seen in other ways is, with some of the other metaverses, is they have an event and the event ends, but people hang around for hours and even days, and you run around, they
Yeah.
socialize with all the other people, and there's some dude and he's talking to a lot of girls in their dorm room about this band that they love, and oh yeah, I went to see him there and I was there too. And it's community and it's interaction, and this is what's important, and that's what we're really going to hammer hard on.
It takes their community so global, right? And their reach so global, which is amazing. This kind of Dr. Stuff had a question about like how this would play out, and like maybe you have different rooms, like maybe if the server can hold 10,000, you might even be able to set up a couple. That way you might have a couple groups of 10,000. But I like where you're going, where the early ones are just going to be like exclusive, right? A very limited number while they work on the technology that can eventually allow millions. But I was thinking about how could you have millions of people unless you assign people seats, because everyone would try to be up in the front and they wouldn't be able to see over each other.
Without going too technical on it, there's a couple of different ways to do this, essentially, okay? And the simplest way is that if you want to have millions of people, not all of them are going to want to be super involved and doing dance moves and going around talking to people. Some people just want to watch it. And if you just want to watch it, which, let's face it, we can do 3D concerts and you can have your headset, but there's very few headsets in existence right now. A lot of people just want to watch it on their phone or their laptop. So you can use something called pixel streaming. And what that does is it does all the hardcore processing offsite, and then it just streams it to you like you're watching a kind of movie or something like that. If you want to be in Decentraland, you need a beefy computer and you want to be running around. And I mean, honestly, Decentraland have a limit of I don't know, it's about 70 to 100 people per parcel. That's not very big, but again, they can tier this and have multiple layers. It just
Yeah.
means you're in one layer, I'm in another, which means we can't talk to each other. You can only talk to the people in your layer. Now, there are ways of doing that to make sure that all your friends get in the same layer as you, but that's a little bit different. Um, there are an awful lot of people working on very, very significant, technological advancements to sort of
Yeah.
solve this, and I don't think it's going to be that much of an issue in a year or two.
I like the direction you took on this. Instead of trying to create this and the metaverse that this would go into, because then that adds a layer of complexity of trying to make the best metaverse while doing this, you're focusing on this aspect so the metaverses don't have to factor out this or take this aspect, and then you partner with them, which makes a win-win for them, right? That way they can focus on building a metaverse people want to come to, and then being able to add in concert capabilities in that metaverse, while you're just focusing on creating the best concert experiences and being able to integrate with the different metaverses.
Well, a metaverse is like an empty room, really. You got to have something in there that is interesting to interact with people and give utility. And they're all doing some really, really cool stuff. And there's one, I can't remember the name, but who's focused on things like sports and move to earn and things like that, which is super, super cool. They're actually doing a UFC fight. And they want me to do a concert, and I'm really excited to do that as well. I'm a metaverse nerd a little bit, and I'm really going down this rabbit hole of trying to understand. And I asked the same question to everyone. What's your take on the future of the metaverse? What do you think is going to be the things that are going to, crack the code here and bring everyone in? And everyone has a different take on it, and every metaverse is doing it a different way. I'd love to be able to peer 5 years into the future and see what it'll be like and see who wins. I'd, probably be a billionaire if I knew that now. But someone's going to crack it, and I think a number of them are going to crack it. We all hope and pray that it's not just going to be the metaverse, and this is decentralized. We don't want any one person. A metaverse to me is like a city, and there are many, many cities in a country, and there are many countries in the world, and that's what. And we need portability and all of those sort of things. But most of them will die, and several winners will come out. But the other way of looking at it, I always believe that the metaverse is not a new thing, a different thing. The metaverse is just the name that we're giving for what is going to become the future evolution of the internet. And some websites will become metaverses, and some won't. The ones that make sense will. If you want a more 3D immersive interactive experience, that's a metaverse. If you just want a brochure, then it's a brochure. And not everyone will need that, but a lot of the big sort of corporations and brands that we're already familiar with, where it makes sense and they can provide value to their customers and their customers will want it, they'll build a metaverse.
Great question. For those in the audience that have a question, feel free to ask it in the comments. This is live, so feel free to ask Colin whatever questions you may have. Dr. Stuff has some more questions. Doctor, do you want to go through some more of what you have?
Yeah, I was like, oh, if no one has questions, I have so many, Colin. A couple things, and I think that this is important for the audience too, Rain's audience and those watching. When you talk about the NFTs, could you go into a little bit more detail about the different types of NFTs? Because at first I originally was thinking, oh, maybe, it's a Snoop Dogg concert and in my avatar, I'll be able to buy like a t-shirt NFT, right? That my avatar can then wear going forward. But I know, and I'm in your Discord and the different types, and you did touch on already some of the utility tied to some of these NFTs. But could you go into a little bit more detail about the types of NFTs that you guys are planning on rolling out with these musicians and the different variety there?
Sure, absolutely. Well, like we talked about earlier, I think a lot of this is really about community, okay? And that's how most of the, successful NFT drops have happened, because they've created an incredible community of people who love what they're doing and want to do it together and want to celebrate and wish good morning and all those sort of things. But what we're trying to do is bring maybe a little bit more of the IRL aspect. So not only, like, let's say with a hardworking man with Snoop Dogg and Billy Ray Cyrus right now, not only will you get access to an exclusive metaverse concert, but there'll be an in real life concert as well. I mean, we actually had Snoop Dogg perform at an in real life event in Miami just before Christmas, and we're going to do another one, and people will get VIP access to that. Maybe a backstage meet and greet with an artist, those sort of things. Okay. Um, uh, One of the actually I can't say right now, but there's there's one really cool one that I think I'm trying to lock in right now, that you can't buy this stuff, and this is basically it. You can't go buy these sort of things, but with an NFT you can get access, because that is what access NFTs are about. So it's not just that there will be physical redeemables, merchandise, signed things, all stuff like that. I mean, we're working with Robin right now to get a very long list of super cool stuff that they're really excited about taking to their community as well. And I suppose the most important part to think of is that there's no boilerplate cookie cutter approach here. It's different every single time, and that goes the same for the metaverse, because we want to work with the artist to do something that is congruent with their brand, and that is okay with their likeness, and that they are excited to bring this to their customers, but also get exposure to the NFT community in the right way. We've all seen these rappers drop NFT drops and have it fail miserably because it was shit. It was done in the wrong way, and the NFT community is allergic to this sort of stuff now. They know what they see and what they like. Now, we're not a puffy penguins or loaded lions or anything like that. That they're a little bit different.
Sure.
We're a little bit different as well. But we've seen a ton of other people. I mean, the Nelk Boys did a very successful one, and they did that around sort of access into their community and stuff. Who else? The guy from the Silence of the Lambs did one the other day that I thought was quite interesting. I can't remember his name. But yeah. So I mean, look, everyone's doing things differently. The market is evolving incredibly quickly. Honestly, when we started this, it was not what it is now, and everyone has to adapt as quickly as possible and basically deliver the correct value to what the public and the communities want to see.
Awesome.
So one of our questions from the audience was when, let's see, where did it go? Okay, animal tokenomics on CoinMarketCap. Please ask when more information is coming. What I think they're asking for is
circulating supply.
Yes, exactly.
I probably should have bruises on my head from banging my head against a wall trying to solve this problem. My market maker actually went and designed a very specific API for this, and we still can't get CoinMarketCap. And I know many other projects are exactly the same. I basically put it out to my community. I was like, if someone thinks they can solve this for me, I'll pay them to do it.
Yeah, that's smart. Yeah, like the fully diluted market cap is here, which is great, but they haven't updated, so they don't. They're not registering.
We publish it ourselves on a fairly regular basis.
Okay,
within
perfect.
the Discord, so it's all there and it can be verified and stuff. But yeah, I have. Yeah. Anyway, that's it. It's
perfect. Can you tell all the team and stuff to stop making so much awareness right now? We want the token price to go back down so that we can. I mean, not that right now like is still low, but we're investors. We like to buy really, really low, and we just like to fully load our bags. And it's not like we haven't loaded our bags. We just want to buy more at those really good prices where it was, and it's still a good price now. But it's like, I mean, we like to buy on sale, massive sale, right? So anyway.
Well, let's hope. I mean, we've seen what Bitcoin's done in the last couple of days, and it's certainly going to be an interesting year. I've been fairly deep in a lot of predictions over the last little while, and fingers crossed for a decent end of year anyway.
Medow asks, when will we see the first ANML Metaverse concert? Any news you can say there?
I can't give you any dates, but hopefully within the next few weeks, I might have a little something more concrete, because we are close to something really cool that we've been working on, which popped up recently. So I can't give you specifics right now, but stand by.
I'm going to tell them how to get the latest to stay completely updated on that. This is how you stay totally updated on that, is Animal Concerts on Twitter, so that you can get the news as it's released. So if you haven't followed them already, it's just at Animal Concerts on Twitter. Perfect. Dr. Stuff, I know you have some more questions.
Yeah, and this relates. This perfect segue with the token. I know that you've partnered with Decentraland and Sandbox, and they have their own tokens as well, right? Sand and Mana. And so when you're doing these metaverse concerts in these different platforms, will people have the ability to use either Animal Concerts or the platform that you're going to be doing the metaverse concert on, or how's that going to work?
Yeah, basically, yes. I mean, I would say it depends on the concert itself, but obviously I'm in it for my own token and not
Yeah,
mana or sand.
yeah.
But everyone's got to win. I mean, in crypto, we all want to win together. A rising tide lifts all boats. But say, for example, we might enable, and we can do this in Decentraland. If you hold animal token, then you get access to the backstage pass. If you don't, then you're
Mm.
out the front and things like that. Clearly want to enable, if you want to purchase an animal ticket, if you do purchase that ticket with the animal token, you will get a discount, and we can do those sort of things. And then it might be down to, okay, some of the merch might be in their local token and some of them might be, on ours. If you want to buy an animal t-shirt for your avatar, yeah, you can do it that way.
Yeah,
I like
perfect.
the functionality there. Like, and say you had staking tiers, right? One
Correct.
project is rolling that out, and I think it's brilliant. They have staking tiers that you get different level of access, and so as that rolls out, I think it's going to increase demand for, hey, I need to hold this, especially as then it becomes relevant, and they're like, wait, I'm missing out because I'm not holding that much, and so it gives a strong use case for the token.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the staking one is pretty interesting, and we've got a couple of projects on the go for that at the moment. And as you say, there's some people doing some stuff. But yeah, I mean, we even say, for example, with the whitelist that we've got for the Hardworking Man NFT drop right now, it's a gamified system where the more points you get, at the top of the points league, you can win a free NFT, and then the next whatever 5,000 people get access to the whitelist. It's not just a first come first serve, and it encourages people to share it and things like that. But showing you have animal token in your MetaMask gets you about 1 million extra points or something like that, and I think that's interesting too.
Nice, love it. Dr. Stuff, what other questions do you have?
Yeah. So, and Colin, you kind of touched on this a little bit. So, just for the audience, but you had said that people are going to be able to choose the platform that they want to watch these metaverse concerts on, right? If they have a VR headset, they can
Yeah,
do that on a mobile. On
yeah.
that's awesome. But so let's see. Yeah. What and maybe you can't answer this, but what are some of the things that you're most excited for related to animal concerts for 2023, right? Even if it's just like broad generalizations, right? Of what you're building and the reach, or
Yeah.
anything you can
Well,
touch on there.
yeah. Okay. There's a couple of things that I'm super excited about that I can't talk about, but
Yeah.
what I can talk about, because it will be announced in a little while, is our app. So we have an app coming out. It's in sort of private beta at the moment, just with the team and stuff, and we'll be putting it out there to like some of our ambassadors in the community in the next little while. But it's a video on demand platform, and you can think of it of almost, Netflix meets TikTok for music, and it's got
Mhm.
watch to earn in there. So we're all familiar with play to earn. Well, this is watch to earn. So the more you engage with the platform, the more tokens you can earn, and then you can exchange those tokens for merchandise and things like that, which is really, really cool. But it's also extremely exclusive content that you're not going to find anywhere else. So this is content that we've acquired, that we've taken from the in real life events that we've had. We're doing a sort of a music movie, or what do we call it?
Like a
Like
documentary.
a, yeah, sort of. With we've done one with Alicia Keys, we've done another one with Robin. There's backstage interviews, the sort of things like that. Then we've had our concerts with Busta Rhymes, with Snoop, with Nelly. who else? Diplo, a lot of us. So it's little snippets from those, and you can go through and just sort of watch different things, and it's really cool. So I'm really excited about that, and it brings token utility, and it brings a sort of home for everything animal. I don't know whether you guys have seen it, but Apple really made things significantly more difficult for anyone that is trying to do anything to do with NFT and crypto in their app. So we essentially had to strip half of it out, and then kind of we're going to build it back in, but you got to get it right. So that's kind of disappointing. If we had released it, months ago, might have been the thing, but they've made things very difficult. And then if you want to try and sell anything in your app, they want to take 30%, and they're really not doing the community many favors. But I do think it's going to come back at some stage. But regardless to all that, it's still a super cool piece of technology. It looks beautiful. It's really nice to use, and I'm really excited about that we'll be releasing reasonably soon.
That's exciting. Yeah, I'll definitely be downloading that. One of the first to download it.
I will let you guys know for sure.
Let's go Elon Musk with the Tesla phone so that we can bypass the Apple store because their phone takes off, right? And the 30% is the big thing, and kind of the monopolistic power that they have with that app store. In the past, we discussed part of what you can do is to bring huge stars from the past into virtual concerts, like maybe some big names that come to mind, like Michael Jackson or Elvis Presley. Perhaps if the family that has the rights wants to do a concert, you can make that happen. What might something like that look like?
So that is something we will absolutely be doing, and we do have a lot of relationships and deals already on the table there with some of the legacy artists, artists who are no longer around, but like I say, for example, when Michael Jackson had his farewell tour, I had a ticket to go see him in London, but unfortunately he passed before that. But imagine I was able to bring him back, and we had an immersive metaverse concert, maybe with some audio that was previously recorded, and then we animate the whole thing and make it interactive. I think that'd be amazing, and that is definitely coming. I mean, we've seen Meta did a concert with Biggie the other day, and obviously we had Coachella with remind me that other rapper who's no longer around. I mean, this is a thing, and I think it's going to grow. So we really want to capitalize on that as well and bring that to our audience, because it can be really cool. And every month someone's doing something even cooler with the metaverse, and I hope that when we do ours, we're going to push that boundaries as well, and then continue to do it. And like we talked about earlier, the technology is advancing now, and that will be the thing that really brings more people in. And when Apple released their sort of AR headset, that'll bring a ton of people more in. And when Apple released that, what'll that do? Create 50 more competitors who all want to make a new headset, because theirs is going to be, Apple's is going to be $3,000. So it's not like kids are going to be getting it for Christmas, but there'll be hundreds of people going, I'm going to make a cheaper one, the same sort of thing. And then because what we're waiting for is we really are waiting for the iPhone of the metaverse. That's what we're really waiting for. And when we get that, because I've always said this, we are all stuck here with this piece of plastic and glass, and we, have our heads turned down like that, and we're stroking it with our finger. And I think people in 20 years' time are going to look back and laugh. I mean, I have a 3-year-old son, and I don't think he's going to be, he's going to be in a different world. I think we're already practically cyborgs. We spend so much time on our phone, but it has to get a little bit more natural. I mean, there's lots of people working on normal glasses that it'll just project it onto the lens, and that's kind of cool. But, and I'm going to talk about this in my podcast, but I know a guy who is one of the smartest cities I've ever met in my life, and he's got an unbelievable history in pharmaceuticals at the highest level. He's working on a contact lens that actually gets inserted into your eye in an operation exactly the same as cataracts, which is the most popular operation in the entire world. And he'll put an 8K TV in there, and you will have the metaverse inside your eyes. And it is powered by blinking, and it links to your phone. And I think when that happens, the world will change. He's 18 months away from clinical trials. So when we think about, I'm a complete and utter nerd for ChatGPT, and I'm absolutely obsessed by it. I am a big believer in AI, and I just don't think most people realize how fast and hard this thing is coming and how much it's going to change the world. And when you bring, the applications for AI are really, really significant in the metaverse. When you bring that in with sort of all of the various different things that are happening, and then you bring in the technology to really make it kind of immersive into your own body, the world is going to be like change radically beyond our wildest dreams.
That's fun to think about. I did not know that technology was so close, right? The context.
Yeah.
I had heard about the glasses and watched some stuff on that.
Yeah.
It's crazy where this is going, and exciting where a lot of this is going. So we kind of overall addressed this, that nobody really knows what it's going to quite look like in 5 years. But, as running a company, you try to have an idea of what you think the vision will look like in 5 years. And what is your vision for where animal concerts will be in 5 years?
So I always talk about how the fact that we're animal concerts, but what we really are is animal entertainment. And I see us expanding, and we already have plans to expand into much more than just concerts. Concerts is the best place to start, and I'm also a believer in focus. So I want to focus on this and sort of make it successful. But I want to go into other areas. I mean, we're already in the game of music and ownership and IP, because here's the thing: there's an awful lot of people building technology for the metaverse. There's not a lot of people creating content, and content is king, because it's like this thing. It's an empty room. There's nothing in there. No one's going to come.
Mm-hmm.
If you've got a lot of content, that's where it is. And you can look at, I'm working with people who are building 50 and $100 million funds to be purchasing IP and content specifically for the metaverse. I also see people like Disney doing this, and there's a ton of others. I see us getting more and more deeply involved with the likes of, artists and people like that who want to come on board with us, but actually create content together and then monetize that in the metaverse with concerts, with NFTs, doing concert films and documentaries, and a whole lot more. But there's also opportunities for things like comedy. I mean, comedy is a prime example that could be, scaled significantly using the metaverse. And then sports. I mean, there's a lot of people looking at this already, things like UFC and many, many more. There's huge, huge scope for those sort of things as well. So I see us expanding out there, potentially looking into the hardware game as that comes in, because I think there's a great opportunity for people to explore that and bring in a whole lot more people, because that's what we're in it. We're all in this to accelerate the transition into this world of Web3, and we're pretty well positioned to be able to bring a lot of normal people in. And I mean, I'm a huge crypto believer. I'm a big Bitcoin guy, and I truly believe that this will be the future. But we got a lot of problems to solve first, and we're just trying to solve a couple of those, and so is everyone else, and that's what we do. But we will be successful. There's no doubt in my mind.
I hadn't thought about that, like the UFC, right, and boxing matches and other things, which could extend the UFC's ability to reach even more audiences, to be able to see it not just on pay-per-view, but imagine if they then had cameras set up all around it. And so then people could see it and bring it to whatever metaverse, and then they could actually choose the angle they want to watch it, rather than having to rely on what camera angle the producer is picking, right? Because they literally can just watch it from anywhere. That's really cool. Or basketball games or football games.
Exactly. Look, I'm not a big sports guy, and I don't live in the US, but a lot of people on my team and connected to my team are. And one of my guys who's not a techie as such, but he was just like, well, you can now put on a virtual headset and you can feel like you're courtside at a Knicks game, and that was just a complete another game changer to him. I can't remember the team, but one of the teams has like 100 or 120 cameras dotted all over the outside of this thing, and they've basically done it so that they've recreated the game in real time with photorealistic, let's call it metaverse avatars. So you're watching the game, but it's not really the game, but then you can sort of be involved in and around it. And that is an immersive experience that is just on another level to what you're ever going to get at home, and even to what you see if you're sitting up in the bleachers, you know. And again, this is just one of these things. The technology is advancing, it's getting better and better and better. A lot of these things we've seen before in theory, but it's if it's not good enough to be really brilliant, then you know it's rubbish. But when they get over that hurdle, and then everyone starts to really accelerate on them, it's like what we're doing now. You know, imagine 5 years ago trying to, you know, run a completely live podcast or something like that. It's really hard. Even Zoom back then was terrible. I used to use it in my company. Then the technology accelerates and it gets to a thing where it's just ubiquitous and it's perfect and no one thinks about it anymore. And that is coming for, you know, for the metaverse, for sports, for concerts, and all that sort of stuff.
What about going on that idea, right? So what if you didn't cartoonize it, say a basketball game, because it's a very limited space, right? Or UFC, and they set up a bunch of cameras, but the user could actually just choose what camera angle they want to switch to. So they feel like they're there and they can choose their shot, because things like the metaverse allows that, right? And the interactivity. I mean, what blockchain really gives us is ownership. Blockchain initially was a slow database, but you could have ownership and you could have verifiability, but it unlocks some technology, kind of like one computer calling on a phone line to another computer. Like that just unlocks some capabilities that would later you could plug into this thing called the internet, reach anywhere in the world and see amazing things. And so like what I like about blockchain is unlocking capabilities that the end viewers, say people watching the NFL, can choose what shot they want, and they can rotate the cameras. They could sit there and be changing the camera angle from the 20 different cameras set up
10 times. 100%.
Yeah, and then they can go back and they can do their own replay instead of having to rely on the producers. I think that kind of content would go absolutely crazy. People would like absorb, like they would love that, right? In whatever sport it is, whether it's, you know, international football, whether it's American football, whether it's basketball, whether it's UFC, whether it's boxing. And that's something that they would like love today. And you take that into a metaverse, or you partner with a metaverse, or you just provide that entertainment option contract directly through something else. I think, you know, people would digest it. They would love it, like choose your own angle type of stuff, right?
That's exactly it. That's giving, you know, the user to do and see things in the way they want and have a more involved experience instead of just sitting there in front of the TV and the only thing you can control is the volume. You know, those days are changing very, very quickly.
And if you buy the NFT for the ticket thing, you would then have access to the replay that you could also on the replay change the angle and rewatch it and take screenshots, right? And screenshots of it and share it on social media with their friends.
Or actually, or you know, oh, there's a big touchdown. I want to buy the NFT of that touchdown because it's my favorite guy and he did it in an incredible way, and I want to own that. And you know, some people were like, "What do you mean owning it? It's ridiculous." Well, you know, there's a lot of people who don't think that's ridiculous, and they do want to have ownership because you know what? It brings them closer to the thing they love, and it's about connection. Okay, and one of the things that I always talk about is, you know, one of the ways people like to feel connection is by spending dollars. By spending money and then buying something gives them a connection to something. And, you know, I'll give you a stupid example. Khloe Kardashian, her net worth was published at $990 something million. Someone started a GoFundMe to try and give her more money because they wanted to get her over that threshold of $1 billion. That's the most ridiculous thing in the world. But someone, and people contributed and it raised a lot of money. I can't remember how much, but people want to give their money to feel closer to this person, even though they've already got more money than sense. And so take that into a more real setting, and you have artists and the companies behind it being able to offer up portions of what they're doing to people to buy that. I mean, there's a guy I know who's got a very, very simple little business that enables any, you know, musician or DJ or whatever to sell the link to their SoundCloud as an NFT, because someone can be like, oh, hey, I own, you know, that SoundCloud link. And, you know, do they really own it? You know, but it gives them this sort of connection to the person, and that's what they want. That's my favorite mix of all time. I want to own the NFT. And actually, I can kind of identify that because there's a couple of mixes that I absolutely adore. And if they became like Boiler Room, I don't know if you guys know it, it's a real, thing for house and techno. And if that came up for sale, I would absolutely buy it.
This idea of ownership will go to whole new levels, right? I think about when I was a kid, I collected some baseball cards, and then I realized they were just printing off a million of them. I did some basketball cards, like American basketball, and some NFL cards. And then the company recently has made like NBA Top Shots and NFL All Day, which is kind of like, it has a video moment of it. But what you talked about is a whole new level, that say you could buy that touchdown and you would be able to replay it at the different angles you want, but you own like 10,000 people bought that 5-second touchdown moment, right? And it's like they get bragging rights to all their friends, and they can open up their app and change all the angles, and they can take screenshots, and they're like, I own that touchdown and only 10,000 people own this, right? But I own the legendary version, which only 100 people own. And so they have extra capabilities. I mean, where this idea of ownership is going, and the ability to interact with like brands and sports and moments. Like, I don't watch sports myself. I'm an investor. I bought NBA Top Shots, NFL All Day as an investor. Even though my knowledge on the NBA and NFL is so limited, because there are people that spend their lives on certain things, right? Like bands, people like uproot themselves and follow the band on the whole tour. And so their ability to interact with more people that can't necessarily uproot themselves and follow the band on tour, but can participate from the Philippines and from Japan or South Korea or wherever, and like feel like they're interacting with the band in the way you're talking about, is incredible.
And there's another thing, and this is something that I've been meaning to kind of write about, because what people don't really understand about NFTs or digital assets, digital merchandise, is that it's about identity. The kids today are spending a shit ton of money on Robux and all that sort of stuff. Okay, and the story I always tell, it really at the very, very beginning of when I was doing this animal thing, and I said to a friend of mine, I said, "Do you know what NFTs are?" And he goes, "No, but I've heard of them." He goes, "But let me tell you a story." He goes, "I have a 14-year-old son." And I said to the son, "Hey, you need a new pair of runners, sneakers. Let's go to the shop and I'll buy them." And he goes, "No, Dad, can I have that money? Because I'd rather spend that money on my avatar." And this is where it's at now. Kids see their digital identity as almost more important than their physical identity, and that's where they want to spend the money. And that sounds completely insane to anyone kind of my age and over, but it's changing, because whether it is spending money on a t-shirt or things for your avatar, but it's also about purchasing those NFTs that you have here in your crypto wallet, that you can show off to your friends because it's public, and you can go in and you can see what people have, because you will be, I hate the word judge, but people will go in and they will look at what NFTs you will have, and they were like, "Oh wow, you've got some cool stuff in there. Yeah, this guy gets it." That's what it's about. That's what people really don't get here. The ability to express yourself by the things you collect. I mean, look, people have been collecting things since the dawn of time. Coins, stamps, sports memorabilia. That's just going digital. That's it. It's not much more complicated than that. It's the same stuff. I might have gone over to your house, Rand, and you show me an incredible stamp collection, or go out of Doctor's stuff, and he's got a connection of, it could be
Star
sneakers
Wars
or comics or Star Wars or whatever.
Yeah.
This is digital now. This is digital, and NFTs are a thing. So, do you guys know Craig Wright, the guy who claims to be Satoshi Nakamoto?
I don't know.
I've read about him. I've read about him.
Yeah. So I met him about 6 months ago. We were at a conference together, and I spent a fair bit of time with him. And it was very funny because he went on an absolute and utter tirade about how he did not invent Bitcoin to be NFTs, and he hates them. I do not personally think he's Satoshi Nakamoto. Just saying, he does, but I don't. But he hated it. But I actually think what the blockchain has brought, being NFTs, is one of the best things, and I think it's one of the things that's going to have most impact on certain sectors. Like collecting, like music, and a few other things. I mean, I have a friend who's using NFTs to create fractional ownership of buildings so that you can become a property investor from $100, because there's a lot of people out there, I'd like to invest in property, but I don't have $50,000 for a deposit, on an apartment or whatever. But and he's using NFTs to fractionalize that and create it, to be completely orchestrated and managed in an open manner and a transparent manner on the blockchain. And that's absolutely revolutionary and game changing. And there's loads of people working on these things that people don't even realize.
Yeah, in the future, title for real estate will probably all be held on the blockchain and NFTs. It's a better source of that kind of information. Collectibles is better to go to that. Like, in artists, or the reason they're so excited is they get it about NFTs because they sell a CD, right? And they sell that once and say, the artist gets $1 out of that, and everyone else, and say it sells for $20, so the artist gets $1. But they don't get any money when somebody sells that CD or that record to someone else. Whereas with NFTs, they can maybe make 5% every time it trades hands or whatever. And so, and for forever, right? And the cost will be low enough that people just exchange them to each other, sell them to each other, and then they can own it. And it's really giving this idea of ownership.
Well, look at what Snoop Dogg says. And if you go to my Twitter, it's down there somewhere. Snoop bought over Death Row Records. He's the president of Death Row Records, and he said, I'm taking the music off Spotify and Apple Music. And people went, why? But what if the people want to listen to that? And he goes, what about me as the creator? Am I not entitled to make some money off what I've created? He goes, I'm going to create them as an NFT record label, and the music will be NFTs. If you want to own my music, owning a CD is not owning my music. Owning a Spotify subscription is not owning. If you own the actual NFT, you then own the music, and you can trade it, and you can make money with it, and you can really be involved in the process. And that's really, really cool.
And that's where it's all going, right? And that will cut out a lot of middlemen, which they won't like that, but the artists will love it, and the audience will love it. And those are the two most important crowds in that, right?
Well, this is it. I mean, one of the things is that we do deals where we split the profits 50-50 with the artist. And that is way, way better than they usually get, because usually they're getting cents on the dollar, maybe 12 to 18%, something like that. But, one concert can only be so big, and then they have to tour. I mean, I can't remember the exact numbers, but Coldplay did, I don't know, 50 million or something from their US tour, but what they actually end up with and then split between is really not that giant, and one of the biggest bands in the world, so it's really great. I got 2 minutes left because I have another important call, but it's been amazing to talk to you, and I look forward to talking again. And if you have any other questions, I'd be happy to. And thanks for the guys for the comments in the George and Jack, Tupac. It was appreciate the comments for sure.
Yeah, appreciate the audience engagement. Colin, we very much appreciate your time. Thank you so much for joining us. Dr. Stuff, I appreciate you joining us as well.
Thank you for having me on. Yeah.
All right, gentlemen. Thank you, everyone. And I know the crypto market is down. This is the time to be researching and finding those gems before the money comes back in the crypto market. So if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. That's what we do here. Thanks so much, everyone.
Thanks, Aaron. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Came into the space chasing all of the gains, chasing the pumps and all of the hype trains. But like in life, shit, right before you could, it was told to buy when it was pouring like a rain, make it should. I buy when it's down, don't chase the boats that I miss, cause I always made the time in mind. I take the one out, cause I'm patient like that, and I'll wait for the right time. I sell when it's high, I buy when it's low. They call me rich, they call me smart. I'm just a rainmaker running the show. Calculated investments, I don't leave with my heart. The principles are simple, they're leaving a mark. Buy when it's boring, just gotta be smart. I sell when it's hype, like all the channels they pump it. That's when I was selling, got parabolic and dump it. They call me rich, they call me smart. I'm I'm a rainmaker, making my own start. I'm with the future, learning the past. Makes the time fly by, years going so fast. The game plan is mine, I'll own it now. When I reach the top, haters asking me how. Cause I'm a rainmaker, investments I love, and I follow what I learn, not relying on luck. Time is never better, the time like the present. This next 5 years is a gift and it's feeling like heaven. I'm committed to learn, studying to know that nothing comes easy, but with knowledge the game show. Sticking out this road, cause soon will come a bear market. Learning and growing, and when it's slow will be the target. They say it's come out, Bitcoin is dead. The massive decreases can get to your head. Sticking around, the time is better. Strong like that, I'll let the others be fretters. 2 years time, the ball will bring back the gains. That makes it worth the effort, cause here comes the rain. So let's go rainmakers, let's make it all happen. Let go of the hate, let the haters be crapping. I'm here for 5 years, let's do this together. The time is right, the time to be better. They call me rich, they call me smart. I'm a rainmaker, making my own start. I'm with the future, learning the past. Makes the time fly by, years going so fast. This game plan is mine, I'll own it now. When I reach the top, haters asking me how. Cause I'm a rainmaker, investments I love, and I follow what I learn, not relying on luck. Haters be hating, the time to slow down. Addressing what they say when I'm wearing my crown. They're chasing green candles like someone who was new. I got a vision that was bigger, helping me to push through. I'm still human and sometimes it is rough, and that's what makes me special, simply I stay tough. Cause I'm a rainmaker, investments I love, and I follow what I learn, not relying on luck.